Hi guys, I'm on my way to see Lake Hicks. Right now we're driving down the street that goes into the park. I'm going to turn around my camera so that you can see it. I think I need to stop recording to do that, so hold on. I'll be back in a minute.
I think it's Hicklin Lake.
Alright, so here we are driving down the street. You can tell that it's a pretty residential place around here. There's lots of houses. Seems like there's a school just up ahead. We're in White Center right now, which is just about 15 minutes from Cleveland. So we're pretty close to school. All right, and now we're entering the park. There's some people with their dog. Right over there, behind that porta potty, is a lake. I'm gonna get out of the car and walk over so you can see it better. So I'll be back in a few minutes with the lake. All right, so I just arrived at the lake. You can see that there's an animal safety alert here at the lake for toxic blue-green algae. And this is algae that's been living in the lake for the last few years. Recently, the city's put in some islands in the middle of the lake, which I'll get you a picture of in a minute. And they are kind of just like floating out there. They have weeds growing on them. They put those in because they thought that they would help reduce the amount of this toxic algae which is in the lake. So I'm going to walk around the lake and get you a picture of those. Okay, so we're just coming around the corner of the lake. It's a pretty small lake and you'll be able to see the whole thing here in a moment. You can see right up ahead there's a swimming area, which obviously isn't in use now. We saw the sign back a minute ago that was giving the warning about the toxic levels of blue-green algae. So clearly it's not in use now, but at one point this lake was healthy and what you were able to swim in it. You can tell from this. So I'm going to go ahead and get you a view of the lake. Okay, so here's the whole lake. It's pretty small, so I would say the distance across is maybe about 2 football fields long. It's not very far. And hopefully you can see out there in the middle, there's 2 floating islands. They have some little shimmery things on them. I'm guessing that's to keep the birds away so that the birds don't eat the plants that are growing. But basically the 2 islands, they're floating out there. They're held in place probably by some kind of anchor so they don't float away. But they have different kinds of plants, and the plant roots go down below the bottom of the island so that they're into the water. They're pretty small right now. They were just put in last year. So they're not like, you know, a huge like growth of island. You can tell they're just little baby plants out there. When we look at the water in the lake, it's pretty clear. It doesn't look too concerning. I don't see any blue-green algae floating around in it. There's a couple of ducks right over here. There's the duck. So he's not dead, which is good. You can see that there's some plants that are in the water. They're also quite healthy looking. All right, we're gonna walk right over here and see if we can have a look from this side of the lake. All right, hello everyone. Here I am. This is Lake Hicks, or Hicklin Lake. It has 2 names. We can call it whatever we want in class. You can choose one or the other. But I'm standing here alongside. Here comes a duck. So as you can see, he's perfectly healthy. He's floating along. The water is not killing him at this point. So if we look out, again, this is just another angle of the islands. I just read a sign here that said that they were installed in July 2013, so pretty recently. That was just last summer. And the species that are planted on the islands are all native, so there's lots of different brush types, there's grass, there's some flowers and things that are planted on these islands that are floating out here. And I want you to remember again that the roots of the plants are in the water, okay, so they're dangling down into the water. So you can just see the tops from here, but that's not all there is. Think about what's underneath the water as you're considering what's going on here at the lake. Also, you guys can tell that the lake is healthy now. But if we came here last summer, last spring, we might have seen a lake that was full of green algae. So looking out of the lake, it might have looked really, really green, like you were looking at a field of grass or something. And I'll show you a couple of pictures of what it might have looked like last summer when we're in class so that you can use that on your models. But I just wanted to give you a grand tour of what's going on here at the lake, let you know that there are healthy living animals in the lake right now. I can't see any fish or anything because I'm pretty close to the shore and there's really no way to get out into the lake to tell what's out there. But my guess would be is that the ecosystem here is in a pretty decent shape. Definitely better than it was last year, as you can tell from the ducks and the green plants that we can see along the shoreline. Alright, so I walked around to the other side of the lake. It's starting to rain, so I'm going to put up my hood. I walked around to the other side of the lake here, and the reason I came down here is because I noticed just out here off the shore there's some lilies growing. Lilies are water plants. I'll show you a picture in class. But there's a pretty good chunk of them right out here, which tells me that like the water's healthy enough for those plants to grow. I think that's important for you to know. Also, right here behind me, I can see right off the shore, there's some other green plants growing in the water, which is really interesting. Something that I think you should be considering as you're drawing your models today. So definitely know there's like a pretty large patch of lilies right over here, and there's some other water plants here. I would guess if I was able to access the edge of the lake all the way around, I'd probably see some other plants as well in the lake.